Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of LittleGuyCGI.com, and today I want to show you how to animate a horse walk cycle inside of Blender 2.71. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, the horse model that you see here is a model that I showed how to model in another tutorial, which I'll put a link up for so you can get to that tutorial. Also, the rig that you see inside of this this horse mesh is from another tutorial where I showed how to rig the horse mesh that I originally modeled, and I'll put a link up to that tutorial as well. Okay, what you see in front of you is Blender's default 3D editor. Thankfully, Blender has a very nice setup that makes it easy to animate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click here and we're going to choose animate from this animation from this menu. And what this does is automatically opens up a dope sheet from us, and it automatically opens up a graph editor or where you can adjust the F curves. What we're going to do here is we're going to zoom in. We're going to push Control 3 on the number keypad, and then I'm going to hit 5 to go into orthographic view. I'm then going to hold Shift and my middle mouse button just to pan down and to zoom in a little, and then we're going to start setting up our poses. Now, as far as your horse cycle poses, if you go to Google and you put in horse cycle, a decent amount of images showing horse cycles should pop up. What I'm hoping to do here is to just take you through how to set up a horse walk cycle in 3D, and also some of the basic principles behind animating a horse in 3D. Okay, as we go through this process, there's really only 6 key poses that we need to be concerned about. So we're going to set up the first one now. And using this basic rig, I'm actually going to turn so you can get some 3D-ness to this view. What you want is you're just going to grab here for this hoof handle. You're just going to push forward, and you're just going to slightly raise this hoof up. You're going to go on that, click this hoof handle, you're just going to pull this back. And you're going to slightly raise this up. See, these are almost going to be raised up off the ground about the same height from the ground for both of these hooves. And now with this one, what you're going to do is hit R to rotate on the x-axis just to tilt that hoof back. And this hoof is also going to be pointed back as well. So let me zoom in. So you're going to select here. You're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. And you're going to point this hoof back as well. Okay, and for the hooves that are more towards the back, you're just going to grab this hoof handle. You're going to pull this back. Some a little like that. And then for this hoof, you're just going to, I'm going to turn this a little bit to make it easier for you to see. You're just going to push this straight forward with the manipulator, just slightly. Okay, now for this first horse pose, one of the things we also want to do is you want to grab right here, which is the main root bone for controlling basically the spine, and this also allows the horse to bend down and rise up. So what we're going to do is you're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. And what we're trying to do here is simulate slightly how, basically when a horse walks, when the horse's legs are in this, we call this a passing position here. When they're in this passing position, the hips of the horse actually rise up and the front legs of the horse actually go down. So what we want to do is just pull up slightly here to have the horse's body going up, but we want to hit R to rotate on the x-axis to have that front part going down slightly. And then while this is going up, we also want the horse's head to come up some. So we're gonna select this bone, hit R to rotate on the x-axis, just slightly. Okay, so now that we have this first pose in, what we're going to do is we're going to hit A to select all of the bones. Sometimes you've already selected, like I was selected there when I hit A, it deselected, and then I had to hit A again to just make sure all the bones were selected. As soon as I hit I, you're going to see our insert keyframe menu, which just popped up there because I hit I. And then when you look over to your left, there's the dope sheet summary. As soon as I click location rotation, you're going to see a bunch of dots pop up there. Now the reason why so many of those dots are popping up is because those dots represent all of the blue bones that you see right here. So here we go. I click it, and there you can see all the information popping up. And don't let this bother you. This information is actually your friend. And again, it looks like a lot just because it's showing all of the bones, and it's just, you know, tracking the location of where all of these bones are actually at. Now the cool thing about this animation is, believe it or not, with that first pose done, almost half of our work is already done, and I'll show you how. So we still want all the bones selected. Now we have the keyframe put here in frame 1, which is what we want. Now what I'm going to do is hold my middle mouse button here, and I'm just going to pull back, and I'm going to go to this button right here. And when I click this button, what this does is this copies all of the positions of the bones. All right, so with those bones copied, with the position of those bones copied to my clipboard inside of Blender, what I'm going to do is take my mouse, put it over the timeline indicator. I'm going to hold Shift and push the up arrow key. This takes us forward 10 frames. I'm going to click back one just to make sure we're on frame 10. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this button right here. This button is great, and this is again, it's like having a very nice friend here in Blender, because this cuts down a lot of work. And what this button's going to do, as soon as I click this, what it's going to do is it's going to paste our bones positions in, but it's going to paste them in reverse. I'm going to click it now. It's very subtle, but basically it just, if you saw like a little small change, what it did, it just pasted in the reverse bone. So now that we have those bones pasted into the position, we have to keyframe them. So what we're going to do is hit I to bring up our insert keyframe menu. Then we're going to choose location rotation again. And then if I roll my mouse wheel here, I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan. There you can see our keyframes there. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to put my mouse back over the timeline indicator again. I'm going to hit Shift and push the up arrow. This is going to move us 10 frames forward again. I'm going to go to the initial keyframes for the bones, and I'm just selecting that top button that you see there. I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate that, and then I'm just going to pull my mouse over and make sure that these keyframes line up right with the timeline indicator. Okay, now with those poses in, actually let me go here. Right, Blender's default for animations is it gives you a start on frame 1, and then it has frames to run all the way to 250. Since our animation's only 20 seconds long, we're actually going to click here and we'll turn our animation for now to 20 seconds. And if I take my timeline indicator and push back, you can see already there we have a very basic horse animation. And when I said reverse, what I meant was, is like basically when the horse takes a step, you know, this leg goes forward. So like the frame 1 was here. So when I said it pasted the reverse in, when we click here, you can see there's the pose that Blender pasted in. Blender pasted in, instead of on frame 1, let me put it in 3D so you can see. I'll turn it to the side. This leg is forward here. So when I copied it and then I paste what I called the reversed, when I move here, you can see that this leg is forward. So by putting those poses in, most of our work was done, and then Blender interpolates the frames in between where it, you know, makes the animation smooth. So, you know, very cool. Again, once you have those first 3 blocking poses in, now we just have to put in 3 breakdown poses and then their opposites, and then we are pretty much finished for, you know, having a basic horse animation. And to be clear, a basic horse walk cycle animation. Okay, so now we have those poses. Now what we need to do is we need to go back to frame 3. Okay, and now with frame 3, what we're going to do is we're going to take this leg, and some of the things you can do to actually make things easier for yourself in Blender is we took this hoof handle and we used it to move this leg. Well, since we want this down on the ground for this pose, what we can do is we can hit Alt G and Alt R, and basically what it'll do is pushing Alt G and Alt R, what that will do is it will reset that pose, so it kind of automatically puts that foot down in position for us, which is nice. So now with that foot down, what we need to do is push this foot forward some, like this. And then as far as this, what we need to do is we actually want to pull this up more. And then we're going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis. So it's like that. There we go. Okay, and I'm actually going to grab this foot handle and push this forward a little bit more to make it more dramatic, and I'll put a little bit more bend, a little bit more rotation right here. We originally in the first pose we adjusted the neck. We want to make sure that this horse has some kind of bop, as in up and down movement. So we're going to select the neck right here, this bone in the neck. We're going to hit Alt G and Alt R just to reset the position there. We're also going to click right here and we're going to push Alt G and Alt R. Okay, and now with that set up, with this forward here set up and this leg set up, these legs right here we're not going to adjust. We're just going to allow Blender's the other poses that were set up. Blender interpolates between the poses, so we're going to for now just let Blender, you know, deal with that, and we'll, after we go through the animation, we'll see if we need to add more detail to those legs other than the breakdown poses that we're doing now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit A to, I had a bone selected, so a deselect, and I'm going to hit A again to select all of the bones, and now we're going to hit I to insert the keyframe for location rotation. We're now going to go here and click this location of this pose that's on frame 3, and then with that, you know, that copied into our clipboard, we're going to put our mouse cursor over the timeline. We're going to hit Shift and the up arrow, which takes us forward to frame 13, and then we're going to use this button like we did before to paste the opposite pose in. So now the opposite pose is in. Now we're going to hit I to put a keyframe for location rotation for this pose. Okay, now with that pose in, or those two poses in, we're going to go back to frame 5. Okay, now here in frame 5, what we want is we want this leg to, we're going to select this handle here. We're actually going to pull this back. We're going to lift this up, back some more. Now we're going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis to point this hoof back, like so. And as far as this front leg, we're actually going to push this down. Actually, you know what we're going to do with the front leg? We're going to hit Alt G and Alt R to get it, you know, in a more down position. Now we're going to take this manipulator, we're going to push this leg forward, and we're going to lift this leg up. I want it too much. Now we're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. So it's just a slight bend in there. And now these two legs are supporting the weight of this pose. So what we're going to do here is we're going to select this handle, which is controlling this leg. We're going to hit, we're going to hold Alt while pressing G and R. And we're going to select this handle and hold Alt while selecting G to reset the location and R to reset the location. Okay, now that we have the pose set up for frame 5, what we're going to do is we're going to hit A to select all of our bones. We're going to hit I to put a keyframe for location rotation for all those bones. We're going to click this button here to copy the pose. We're going to put our mouse down over the timeline, and then we're going to hit Shift arrow up to go to 10 frames forward to frame 15, and then we're going to paste the opposite pose in. And then here with the opposite pose, we're going to hit I to insert a location for this pose. Put a keyframe for location rotation for this pose. Okay, now that we have the pose set in for frame 5 and then the opposite pose set in for frame 15, now we're going to go back to frame 7. Okay, now with this pose, what we're going to do is we are going to select this handle bone right here. We're going to press Alt G and Alt R to put this down. Then we're just going to push this forward a little like this. We're going to select this hoof handle bone. We're going to hit Alt G and Alt R just to get that flat. We're going to pull this one back some. We'll push this one. And we'll keep it there. Okay, and with this, we're going to push this up some. Okay, now we're just going to push this forward some, about like that. I'm actually going to hit Control 3 so I can get a better view. Okay, so with that done, we're going to hit A to deselect that bone, then A to select everything. We're going to push I to bring up our insert keyframe menu. We're going to choose location rotation to insert a keyframe for location rotation for all of those keyframes. We're going to push this button here to copy this pose to our keyframe. We're going to move our mouse over here. We're going to hit Shift and then up on the keyboard to go to frame 17, and then we're going to paste the opposite pose in, and then we're going to hit I and then choose a location rotation to insert a keyframe for this pose. Okay, so now that we have those keyframes in, we're going to hit play to see what we have here. Okay, one thing I see that we can do is we can try to do to make it a little bit smoother, a little bit more head motion. Looks like it would help. So this first frame, we tried to tilt down to have this bone go down and have the head, come up. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to grab this bone here. We're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis, just very slightly. We're going to rotate that up. We're going to hit A to select all the bones. We're going to hit I, and we're just going to paste this pose right over the old pose by selecting location rotation. And just like we did before, we're going to hit copy pose. We're going to hit Shift in the up arrow. We're going to click back to be on frame 10. We're going to paste the opposite of that pose in. Then we're going to hit I to insert a location rotation keyframe in. And I just pasted this right over the, if you're wondering like what is he doing, I changed the pose, and just to not complicate things, I selected all of the bones and I copied a keyframe over frame 1, just like we did before, reversed it, came forward to frame 10 and, pasted the reverse pose right over this one, just to see, how this would be as far as the you know, as far as the head pose. So we're going to hit play. Now we didn't set up frame 20 yet, so let's see how this looks. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit better with the head. Actually kind of, so what we're going to try now to get a little bit more head motion, I'm going to pause this. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this head bone right here. We're going to hold our middle mouse button right here. We're going to click this bone, and then we're going to uncheck where this says inherit rotation. And what this should do is make, as the head's body bops, it should give us a little bit more of that kind of thing how you see a horse's head going forward. So let's hit play and see what happens. Okay, a little bit. Let's take off the arm. You can hide the armature by clicking this eye right here. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to hit Control 3 to put this horse mesh back on its side. We're going to click the eye to bring back our armature, holding shift and the middle mouse button just to pan. And what we're going to do is go back to frame 1, and I'm just going to click here, which this is a handle for the tail. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis, make this tail go up a little, and then I'm going to, holding the middle mouse button, just turn to the side. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the z-axis to make this tail just go to the side just slightly. I'm going to hit Control 3 to come right back to the side again. And now, just like we adjusted before, and just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to select everything just like we did before. I'm going to hit A to deselect that bone. Now I'm going to hit A again to select everything. I'm going to hit I to insert a location rotation. And again, I'm just pasting all of these poses right over the old ones. All right. Now I'm going to copy the pose to the clipboard like we did before. I'm going to hit Shift and then up, which took me to frame 11, and our next pose is on frame 10, so we have to push back one. So now I'm going to paste the opposite pose. Now I'm going to hit I, and I'm pasting all of these poses right over the old ones. Okay, and don't let this confuse you. It's just how I'm choosing to do this. I could paste it right over these old frames right here just to get the last keyframes in, but I'm just going to select here. This is frame 20 for keyframes. I'm going to hit X to delete the keyframes, right? I'm going to put my mouse cursor here. I'm going to hit Shift and the arrow up to put me on frame 20. This is what we did pretty much in the beginning. I don't want to confuse you. I could have pasted over. I'm just choosing to take the frames from frame 1. Make sure that's them. Well, it's not them. I'm going to choose the frames from frame 1, hit Shift D to duplicate them, and then I'm just pulling them forward to frame 20. Now I'm going to set this end frame to frame 19. Okay, and now we're just going to hit play and see how this looks, and not bad. We'll click the eye here to take away the armature. And you can see you could play with the tail and put some real life into it. Okay guys, that's it for the horse walk cycle tutorial. I would love to see you guys work and see how you guys can smooth out this animation a little bit. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.